coins dropping into a plastic box, one after another. I remember clenching my fist, try not to celebrate too visibly. I thought I had figured it out. The street, the psychology, the rhythm. That day felt like a victory, but success has an echo. The digital counter rising, the click sounds synchronized with my heartbeats. The most money I ever made in a single day was $1,000. And when the sound fades, you are left alone with this question. What did you actually win? I was reading the messages writing about me. Incredible. Genius. For years I heard these things. On the street, from the strangers, tourists, other artists. I should have felt satiated. Instead, I felt distant. Because I started to ask myself, was I become better artist? Or I was just getting better at influencing people? For 5 years, I lived on the pavement, sometimes up to 10 hours a day. I carried 2-meter canvases rolled in the tube, took the metro before sunrise, just to secure a prime spot. If you arrive late, your income could drop by half. There were dozens of us, guitarists, a harmonica player, brass bands, a violinist,
Sorry, it's very hot. I can't really see any of the lights.
a group of hip-hop dancers, an elderly pianist, other chalk artists, one of the best chalk artists I met introduced himself with performance, Francois. We call him Frankie.
Okay.
That's great, man.
French-Canadian bohemian artist. Rock and roll energy. 20 years on the street.
Frank. Frank.
Screwing up your handwriting, man.
No, you let me win.
He told me the unspoken rules, the angles, the pacing, the psychology. He told me that large face staring directly at the crowd had a hypnotic effect. He would say people are sheep.
Is it for your mom? Oh, let's see.
He advised me to choose recognizable paints. When a father saw a Mona Lisa reproduction, they wanted to explain their kid. They wanted to feel intelligent. And when people feel intelligent, they feel generous. One day Frankie took my coins from my tip box. Watch, he said. As people complimented the drawing, he will throw the coins back into tip box, in front of them, publicly, loudly. The results were shocking. My income doubled. Every compliment created obligation. Every photo created subtle guilt. I had cracked the code, and something inside me changed. I was no longer shy kid drawing on the ground. I understood the language of the street. For 5 years, I lived on the pavement. I drove every day, sometimes up to 10 hours. The street had another boss. The weather. My phone wasn't just checking for the time or messages. Most days I use it to watch the sky, weather maps. Now we're gonna set up here. Today, Saturday, is a little bit challenge. We will see what's gonna happen. Yesterday just rained. Today seems still cloudy. After hours, here going to be so crowded. Then there was Terry, a big man, gentle, not academically sharp, but deeply kind. He lived near our corner. When we needed break, he guarded the paintings. Sometimes, when he stood near the artwork, people assumed it was his. Their reaction changed. The donations increased. Not because the art changed, because the story in their minds did.
What are you doing? Taking photos?
Take videos.
Of what? Him?
Yeah. For Tintin.
He's a monster. He's only beginner.
Beginner, yeah.
The other one professional.
Really? That's your friend?
Terry believed he had a girlfriend in the Philippines. He sent her most of what he earned. We tried to warn him, but he would say a man takes care of his woman. It wasn't a stupidity, it was hope. And the street fits the hope. He's totally good guy.
There is so many trees
Uh,
and so many leaves.
yeah.
How about
My boss are package. Yeah. Why? What do you need is that's all you got.
he's other chalk artist,
Uh,
and he is some of color is gone, finished. So maybe later on I gonna wait for him, and then he gonna bring some new chalk art.
In the middle of the city, there were these strange installations, giant planters, filled with the corn and peppers. One day, I picked one, I walked across the street and gave it to Shuri. She looked at me and confused. I got it from there, I said. She laughed. Huh? Over there. Then I went back to pavement and kept it drawing. It was art, but it was also strategy. I reproduced masterpieces, studied how the masters use the color, how they shape the lights, how composition guide the eye. Week after week, I leveled up. My work became sharper, bolder, more precise. But the real education wasn't about drawing. It was about people. And then there were my hands. All day my fingertips slide across rough pavements. Sand, dust, concrete. By the end of difficult week, the skin burned and cracked. Sometimes I couldn't work. At night, I applied creams, then I covered my fingers and slept with the gloves on, even during hot summer, hoping by morning my hands would heal. Around that time, Francois showed me a technique that changed everything. Instead of finishing a piece in a one pass, I learned how to build additional layers over the drawing. New color, new depth, new highlights. The painting started to evolve slowly over the days and weeks, and every new color made the colors richer, the shadows deeper, the illusions stronger. People would stop and stare longer. Sometimes, when I wasn't drawing, I would sit at a nearby bench and watch. Not the painting, the people, how they react, where their eyes went first, how long they stayed. I and occasionally someone from the crowd would approach with a commission request. They would tell me the price they had in mind. Most of the time I refused because I would explain something simple to them. If I leave these paintings here and do nothing all day, I can still make around $200. The street had already created its own economy. And sometimes, the smartest decision was simply to let the painting exist. Each painting was a long process. On average, I spent about 3 weeks on a single piece. If painting finished earlier than that, it means something else. It was burning through my materials too quickly, and my profit will drop. So, paste mattered. Transporting the canvas alone was a challenge. I had to roll it tightly into the long tube and take the metro into the city. The tube was taller than me. Inside the subway, I couldn't hold it upright. So I carried it a 45-degree angle just for fit inside the train. People entering the carriage had to bend around it to pass. Sometimes they would stop and ask what it was. One time someone looked at the tube and asked, "Is that a carpet?" I laugh and say, "No, it's painting."
Thank you.
That's the hardest part.
Living the street art wasn't sudden, it was gradual. Tension with the homeless individuals, arguments, territorial disputes, small conflicts evolving into physical fights, the beauty of pavement starting mixing with survival energy. The street wasn't always about art. Sometimes it turned into something heavier. Protests take over everything. Noise, chaos, and right in front of me, a group of stood in a silence, blindfolded, holding screens, showing what happens behind the closed doors. Slaughterhouses, animal being cut open, blood everywhere. After seeing that, no one turned around to admire a Renaissance painting. The plan was simple. I still had one more year on my visa. The Sydney would be the next chapter. But life had another plans. Not long after that, the world has stopped. I finished the creation of Adam in Sydney, but even that moment didn't happen under normal circumstances.
We got Sydney.
Around that time, life started to shift. Shiori and I decided to move to Sydney. That meant something complicated for me. The largest canvas I had ever worked on, the creation of Adam, had to travel with me. I rolled the paintings carefully into its tube and carried it with me from the Melbourne. 2 cities, one long canvas. Before I leaving, I say goodbye to Francois. For a short time, the street had turned us into allies. We shared spots, we shared tricks, we shared the strange economy of the street. The largest piece I ever attempted on the street was a reproduction of Michelangelo's creation of Adam. When I finally unrolled it on the pavement, the scale surprised even me. Two hands reaching toward each other, recreated on the city sidewalk. It took 3 weeks, layer after layer, color after color. People gathered every day to watch it slowly appear. At the time, I didn't know it yet, but that painting would become my last one on the street. Near the end of the painting, Australia was burning. One afternoon, while I was drawing on the city, the sky suddenly turned dark. Not the rain clouds, smoke. The fires were 1,000 kilometers away, but the wind carried the sky with them. Massive wildfires had spread across the country. Entire regions were on fire. Then something strange started happening. Ash began falling onto the painting, small black particles drifting down from the sky. The canvas was mostly white, so even the piece of ash left a mark, little black scars, that took me time to repair. Eventually, the pandemics arrived, the street empty, the people disappeared. Supply lines were breaking, the food prices were rising. For the first time in years, there was no audience. I finished the last part of the painting in the backyard of our house during the lockdown, quietly, no crowds, no coins, no cameras, just chalk and silence. Later, I sold the painting to the same collector who had bought almost all of my previous works. Even that wasn't easy. It was middle of the pandemic, and finding the space for a 2-meter painting was not a simple decision. His office walls were already filled with my work. Everywhere you look, there was another piece from the street, in a strange way. It felt like the end of the era. We will miss this balcony, right? Our balcony, our guests, Steven, Juicy, Shiori. They are so hungry. One is just king. They fighting today. No guys, no fighting. Okay. When you see the mechanics behind the admiration, it loses some of its magic. When you understand how easy behavior can be nudged, a pulse feels different. Street art taught me the discipline, observation, human psychology, community, conflict, compassion. It gave me everything, but it also showed me that I didn't just want to move people. I wanted to build something that didn't disappear with the next crowd. The $1,000 day was my peak. And sometimes the peak is also the sign that it's time to descend. Not because you are losing, but because you are learned what you come to learn.